sort of the general shape of what we're going to be looking at today. A string of strange deaths and other occurrences in Ireland. This is the calendar of events that happened over there. And I'm going to show you Ireland and the general theme. Links over to the U.S. in terms of Chief Supreme Court Justice John Roberts. And perhaps, sort of tangentially, the newly appointed Amy Coney Barrett. It also brings in Chuck Schumer and someone that was involved in the Capitol riots, John Sullivan, who we know turned out to be possibly an asset for one or another intelligence agencies, or maybe even private intelligence. We're going to deal with all these questions and a little more, like the coincidence of the deep swamp creatures being in areas when major tragedies occur. I'm just going to touch on that a little bit because I've done videos about that before. So this is another case, by the way, of that happening. So let's get on to filling this stuff out. In Ireland, starting in the very last day of February 2020, we had a string of strange deaths. I want to tell you first about the death of Mark Whalen. Now, he was a referee in youth soccer. You can see here that the date of his death was Saturday, the 29th of February, 2020. Now, he apparently was in a hospice, but here's the Hyde Rangers Football Club, soccer club, Facebook page, and they say on February 10th, 2020, the club would like to wish A players Mark Whalen and Ian Quaid all the best as they head for Australia tomorrow. So on February 10th, 2020, he was supposedly heading to Australia. Really, how does that square with him being in a hospice and dying there February 29th, 2020? I'm not so sure we have the full picture of what went on with Mark Whalen. Then, on March 3rd, 2020, the Hyde Rangers Football Club lost another member. They lost their manager. The guy's name was Adrian Shine, and it says he died suddenly in University Hospital Limerick on Tuesday night. In memory of Adrian, and also in the memory of our fellow referee, Mark Whalen, ISRS Dublin, who recently passed. Interesting. Here's the death notice. Adrian died unexpectedly in Limerick. They name his family members, and they say the date of death was March 3rd. Coincidentally, William and Kate, the prince and princess, were in Ireland on March 3rd. They were going to visit politicians, and they went somewhere else too. They went to a place called Howth, which we will talk more about in a second. Here's the Irish Times, March 5th. Jogger killed when hit by van on walkway. A woman was killed when a van was driven onto a segregated walkway. It says she was jogging along the coast at Raheny when a man in a van drove onto the segregated pathway. The vehicle hit her, causing fatal injuries. It says Ms. Grant had worked for almost 15 years as a social worker in child protection team, but more recently had worked in a play therapy for children in a private capacity. We don't know where. And this apparently happened on March 4th. Here's a picture of where it happened. Apparently the driver, he went off the road and got through this little break in the pavement, in the barrier, and somehow he managed to run over this woman and then just drive away. And where was she? Howth Road, Raheny. And that's exactly where William and Kate were. A group of lucky people in Howth, Ireland can say they spoke with the future king and queen. They were out for a special walk in Howth, a suburb of Dublin, during their royal tour. Okay, now another weird turn. In the meantime, as all this is happening in Ireland, over in the United States, Chuck Schumer went on stage and made a big deal of threatening Supreme Court justices. I don't know if you recall this. You have released the whirlwind and you will pay the price. Well, let me show just the short clip of the video of Chuck Schumer doing this.
and Justices Gorsuch came to the bench. We know what's at stake. Over the last 3 years, women's reproductive rights have come under attack in a way we haven't seen, taking away fundamental rights. I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions.
He was threatening Kavanaugh and Gorsuch there because some abortion debate was being opened up again. But we know that Chuck Schumer has a habit of making threats against people. He said that the intelligence agencies have 6 ways from Sunday of getting back to you, or something like that, right? We'll show that clip in a little while here. And all of this, I know, seems probably disconnected at the moment, but stick with me. Just stick with me. So remember where we left off. Kate and Will were over in Ireland walking on a walking path in Howth, March 4th. And that same day, a woman gets run over on a walking path on the section of Howth Road. From what I can tell, the woman got run over here, and this is the path that Will and Kate were on. But boy, that is pretty close proximity if you really look at it. I mean, what are the chances? Especially when you consider how many times elites are right in the vicinity when terrible tragedies happen, which I'll show you in a minute. What have I got next for you? This is another strange and tragic death that happened in this same general vicinity. And they only published the news on March 6th, although the boy had died weeks before. Listen to this. Tragic. 12-year-old boy dies in freak accident after falling over staircase banister in Dublin school. A 6th class pupil, Blaise Cunningham, suffered fatal head, neck, and back injuries just moments after students left their classroom. He was a popular and sports-loving student at St. Bridget's National School in Castleknock, North Dublin. A source said it was a freak accident. The children were just leaving school at the end of the day. The boy is believed to have fallen more than 12 feet from the second floor of the 2-story building last month. Blaise fought for his life for 2 weeks in hospital but died last Wednesday. The distraught family of the Castleknock Celtic under-13 player kept a constant vigil by his bedside. So he played in youth soccer, the Castleknock Celtic. And they don't go into very much more detail about him. See, it says he died on the 26th of February, 2020. But the newspaper, for whatever reason, only published the story March 6th, right in the time when everybody else connected to soccer and that was dying. And that's not all. Shortly after that, a woman killed by getaway car in Killiney, named as special needs assistant Jacqueline McGovern. She got run over, another hit and run, apparently. Date of accident, March 10th, 2019. These are strange incidents. All of these people that died worked with youth, and their deaths were all strange and unexplained. Here's what it looks like. Blaise Cunningham fell over a balcony, a railing at his school, fell 12 feet, struggled in hospital for weeks, and finally died. On Wednesday, February 26th, and they only reported the news on March 6th. A few days after, the referee for a soccer team died. And the news appears to have kind of massaged that information because they say he was in a hospice. He lost his struggle, for life in a hospice setting, but his soccer club, the Hyde Rangers, posted something only, 2 weeks before saying he was on his way to Australia with the team. So how sick could he have been? Why aren't they properly reporting this man's death? Then a few days after that, the manager of the youth soccer team, the Hyde Rangers, dies. Over in the States, we've got threats going on to Supreme Court justices. And then the next day after this, the manager soccer player dies, a youth worker dies in a hit and run, strange hit and run, while William and Kate were walking along the path not far away. And a week after that, another youth worker gets killed in a hit and run. I mean, I don't know. To me, something weird is going on here. Consider, hundreds of former youth soccer players claim sexual abuse as children at UK soccer clubs. Did they ever solve it? Do they ever solve these things? Really? They just go on and on. As I've said many times, there is an underlying theme of child exploitation and abuse that seems to keep the deep state where it is, in place. And it seems to me the justice system and the media system, they do not want to get to the bottom of this. They do not really seem to want to stop child predators. I just did a quick Google search to fill this out. This is from very recently. Jersey youth soccer coach found with disgusting dark secrets, child pornography. Former Vancouver Whitecaps and Team Canada soccer coach charged with multiple sex offenses. Former Lansing area youth soccer coach sentenced to prison for child sexual abuse. Just last week, we had Massachusetts soccer executives used visa scam to bring hundreds of coaches to the U.S. And look how flippantly the Daily Beast deals with this. They put ballsy as a subheading. Ballsy. Oh, yeah. And listen to the charges. They brought hundreds of foreign youth coach staff to the U.S. by making it appear as if they'd be working for pro squads, when in reality, they'd only be working with kids. They're saying it's forging phony employment contracts. But what does it matter who they're going to be working for or with? Does the fraud really have to do with, they said they were going to be with pro teams, but really they're working with kids? Shouldn't we be looking at this sort of like creepy? Why are they bringing in all these people to work specifically with kids in soccer, especially in light of everything I've just shown you here? And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more. Wasn't there recently someone arrested for child sex predator or sex trafficking that was a gymnastics coach? If I can find that story, I'll pop it up on the screen while I'm talking here. You'll have to pause to read it because I'm going to move on now. Oh yeah, and just bring it back to Ireland. Here's from February 20th, 2021. Claims about John McClane's abuse were swirling as far back as the 1970s. Former Terranure College rugby coach jailed for 8 years for abusing 23 boys. And in the article, they mention that one of the kids who knew this guy back in the 70s said he also had come to know George Gibney, a former Olympic swimming coach who has faced multiple abuse allegations. There were a lot of similarities between Gibney and McClane, he said.